Now let's bring in Republican Congresswoman from New York, Nicole Malliotakis. Now, CB brought up this point, Congresswoman, about really his relationship with Governor Kathy Hochul and whether or not Mayor Mamdani can get any of his agenda passed. He's promised so much: free tuition, obviously free buses, and city-run grocery stores. But Governor Kathy Hochul of New York does not want to raise any taxes. So my question to you is, a lot of hope out there for those who voted for him and other New Yorkers who want to see New York City do well. But do you think any of his agenda will get through?
Look, Kathy Hochul is up for re-election this year, and so she's going to do what she has to do to pander to the left to ensure that she wins her Democrat primary. So I don't count on Kathy Hochul being the line of defense here. I think where we're thankful is that we have President Trump and a Republican control in Congress. That makes a difference, because when it comes to, as you saw, deporting the criminals from our city and getting these migrant shelters shut down, when it comes to making sure that our NYPD gets the counterterrorism funding that they need, it is the federal government that's going to play a significant role here to not just hold this mayor accountable, but ensure that the taxpayers of the city are being heard. And as the only Republican from our city, that is my #1 priority: to protect us, insulate us as much as possible from the damage of a Mamdani mayoralty, and ensure that we do what we can on the federal level to deliver. And people should know, by the way, next week we're going to go to court to actually defend this district, because they're trying to redraw my district to eliminate the only voice that our city has in Washington. And now more than ever, it's critically important that we hold on to it.
Congresswoman, how can you fight back because I know you have said that ultimately, you do not believe that Republicans should strip federal funding from New York City. We should not be hurting your constituents through federal funding. But isn't that the biggest card that Republicans have here to play to try to stop Mamdani's agenda? Can you stop him without stripping the federal funding, and how?
Well, first of all, half the city did not vote for this mayor. So half the people in the city are unsatisfied with this election result. So we should not be punished because of the fact that only half the city voted for him, #1. #2, there are ways that we can go about this to hold them accountable. We're certainly not going to give federal funding so he can purchase supermarkets and have them be government run, or so he could purchase houses and have them turned into commune. That was another one of his ridiculous proposals, or to seize the means of production straight out of the playbook of Karl Marx. But we're not going to target, I'm not going to allow my colleagues or anybody to target New York City and try to strip critical funds from our NYPD, from our hospitals, from our schools. So there's got to be a balanced approach here, where we're certainly not going to help him implement some of these socialist policies, but we need to make sure that the taxpayers of New York, particularly those who did not vote for him, don't get punished and hurt by some of the ways that they may look to hold the city accountable. We have other ways. Look, he's going to be looking for approvals from the federal government for various things, right. And those are the ways that we can hold him accountable and try to get him to be more reasonable in his governing approach.
A lot of eyes on President Trump and Mamdani's relationship. Let's go to this moment during that meeting back in November. Watch.
I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually, and some very liberal people. He won't surprise them because they already like him.
What I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers.
That was a warm meeting between both of them. It surprised a lot of folks. Did it surprise you? And do you expect this relationship to sour sooner rather than later?
Yeah, I think the honeymoon is going to end very soon. Particularly because these are individuals that want to take our city and our country in totally different directions. I think that was a cordial meeting. I think it was a good thing. I hope that they can get along and at least try to work together and find some understanding for the betterment of New York. But I know that President Trump has a very different agenda. And President Trump actually does want to lower costs, and we are doing that. Mamdani's policies, socialist policies, are simply going to rise the cost of everything. It's going to put more pressure on taxpayers, which in turn will be property owners, and then in turn that'll be passed on to you in your rent. So we're going to see some, I think, difficult times here in New York. President Trump also supports our NYPD, made sure that we work together to protect counterterrorism funding for the NYPD. Mamdani is looking to drive the NYPD out and not replace them. We are at the lowest levels in years, certainly thousands of cops shorter than we were on September 11, 2001. And his policies of protecting people who are in this country illegally, who commit crimes, is somewhere else they're going to have a big disagreement. And so we'll see how things move along, but I stand with President Trump to hold this mayor accountable, hold our governor accountable. And again, we're the only, I think, real layer of defense here that the people of this city have.
A lot of people believe that Mayor Zohran Mamdani, who has promised to be the most anti-ICE mayor in the nation, that issue with ICE and immigration is going to be the souring point between that relationship. Nicole Malliotakis, Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis of New York, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.